Okay, good evening everyone. So we will continue whatever we discussed yesterday. Okay, to recap, how do we take input from the user from the console? What class do we use?
Scanner class.
Yeah, scanner class. How do we write code to take that input?
Create objects.
Yeah, first we need to import scanner class from java.utils package, and we will create object of scanner class using new keyword by sending system.in object to that scanner class constructor to create that object, and we use various methods of scanner class to take inputs from the user from the console. Okay, so this is what we saw yesterday. I'll just share my screen. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we'll see. We'll just walk through yesterday's problem that we were stuck, and we'll move ahead today. Okay. Yesterday I was unaware of this, like whenever we use next int, okay, and we scan something, if it is not a number, if it is not an integer, then that input will be there only. So to consume that wrongly entered input, we have to use next line. If there is a mistake in the input, it will consume that input and it will go back to the try block and take the input again. So this is how we write code to take inputs again and again. And one more thing, I thought that we are totally unaware that how user inputs, what kind of input does user give. That is why I thought it is always better to use next. So you see, we use next and parse it into integer. If it is an integer, it will the execution gets execution will be successful, and age gets a value, and we will print that value. If it is not an integer, the entered value is not an integer, what exception will we get? Can we parse a character or a string to integer of other characters? What exception do we get?
Not a number.
Not a number. No, not like that. It is a number format exception, right? You cannot convert a string of other characters to integer. So we get that exception. It comes back to what? This catch block, and you need not write next line or call next line method, because we are not using next int method to get the input, but we are using next. It consumes whatever we enter, but it is not parsable, so we get that parsing exception. Otherwise everything is okay. So it is always better to use next method, because who knows what user understands and what user will input. So either you use next method, which is a better option. If not, you can use a next int method, but be sure that you will use next line method in the catch block. Clear? Any doubts here? We will run this once and test it, and we'll go forward. I enter a wrong age, something like this. So now it's telling we have to enter proper age. I give like this, still not a proper age. I give like this. It printed your age is 12. Clear? So this is how this code works. In the same way, even this code works like this. Comment this and uncomment this. Save. So I give some wrong value. So it's like this, and again. So this is how this code works. If we remove this line, if I comment this line, we save this and run it again. You see, it's entering into infinite loop. Why? I will tell you. First, it is asking for enter your age. You entered some weird character which is not an integer. Okay, so it did not get, or it did not read that value. This next int method did not read that value from the console, but that input is there already. Okay, so it came back to catch block, and then here it printed this line and went back to try block. Again it printed enter your age. Now again that input is there, the older input is still there, so it is trying to read. So again and again it is going to catch block, and it's entering into infinite loop. So that is why we have to use this to consume that previously entered wrong input value. Okay, any doubts here? Any doubts? Any
No,
questions?
sir.
Everybody clear with this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so to use scanner class, we have to import scanner class from java.util package, create object like this using new keyword and passing in system.in to the constructor, and you use that object to call different methods like next, next slide, next int, next double, and like that. And at last, it is always better to close the scanner. It will release all the, as a last line, sc dot close. Okay, so it will close the scanner and it will release the output resource, input resource that has been acquired, and that will release the resource if you call close method on scanner. Clear?
Can you repeat your sc dot close?
Okay, so we have a method called sc.close after the what? After the operation that if we think that we are not going to use this scanner anymore, then it's better, it's a best practice to close that scanner such that if the scanner is holding any resources, okay, it should interact with the system, right, to take the input from the user. So it will acquire some resources from the OS. So if you do this, if you call close method on that scanner, it will release all the resources that has been held by the scanner. Clear?
Okay, sir.
Okay.
But we can't use it afterwards. After
No,
sc.
no, you get an exception if you just like sc dot next. Okay, so you will get an exception here. Run this. Just you see, illegal state exception, scanner closed. So in this line you have closed the scanner, but trying to use that scanner again, So you get an exception. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Any questions regarding scanner? It's important to practice this scanner, that how you take inputs from user and validate those inputs and everything, because in some companies they ask this kind of questions to take inputs from the user, validate it, and then do some calculations on those input and produce output. Okay, it's very important to know how to use scanner class to take inputs from the user from console. Okay, cool. So today we'll step into new topic, that is file class in Java. Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So till today, how we were storing our data in our Java program? How are we
Morning.
storing the data?
Variable arrays.
Correct. We were using variables, we were using arrays, whether reference or primitive. We were using those kind of things which uses JVM's internal memory to store data, right? But how much can you store using a variable or an array, or later you will learn collections. It's very difficult to store data, and even you store data, once your program ends, once your program shuts down, then all the data will be lost, right? So we are heading a step forward to maintain our data or make our data to be persistent, such that whatever data we have gathered in one program, first time program execution, will remain there, and we'll get back that data again whenever we want, when we run the program again. Okay, so in this kind, the first step is learning how to use file system of our own local machine and store data in those file systems. And the next step is how to use database, any database, through Java code to store data, retrieve data, manipulate data. Okay. I think I have told you this once, that whatever we code for maintaining data or managing data. Okay, we have to create some data, we write code for that. We have to read some data, we will code for that. We have to update the data, and we have to delete the data. Okay, these are all the main 4 operations that we can do with any data, and these operations are called as some operation. Anybody knows this?
CRUD.
Yeah,
CRUD.
that is called as CRUD operation. C stands for creating, R stands for reading, U stands for updating, and D stands for deleting. These are the 4 main operations that we can do, that we can perform on any data that we have. Okay. So first thing is, we'll see, by using file systems in Java, we can create files in our local hard disk. We can create files, read those files, update data to that files, and we can delete data or delete the files itself. Okay, we'll see how to do that. So I will create a new project, file, new project. It's a Java project. I will give a name called com.sara.file file management. Okay, so I use all the defaults and I hit enter. So it created this. So I close this. And I create new class and I give file management name, and I need a main method, and that's it. I click finish. Okay, so to get access to the file system of our local machine, we have a class called file itself in Java. Okay, so to get the access to the file system, we have to create the object of this file. So I will write file equal to new file of, and here we have to give, even for this we have to import. I'll just do this from java.io package. We have to import file class. Okay, inside file class we have to give a path. Okay, we have to fetch a certain file. So I'll go here to my file explorer. Okay, so I go here and create a new folder. File, okay, give the name as file. Open this and I copy this path and I go back here and I paste this. So you see, now we have created a file object with this path. Now we have access to this file or folder, whatever it may be, and we can do multiple operations using this file. Okay, first thing we can do is let us get the name of the file. Okay, file dot get name. Okay, and I will print this. Let's save this and run this. You see, name of that file. Even folders are also treated as files in Java. So name of that file is file. So I want to create a file again, another file inside this file. Okay, so I will copy paste this. And I test1.txt. I want to create a text file. So I will give the path like this and I rename this to file1 and I just run this. Okay, and we go back to this folder It should have created. So yeah, we have to do this. File one dot create new file. Okay. You see, it is throwing an exception because there may be a what? I forgot that word. Yeah, there may be a mistake in giving the path. If it did not find this path to create this file, it will throw exception. That is why we are getting a compile time error, which is a checked exception. While talking about exception, I told that IO exceptions are checked exceptions, which are checked by compiler. So we have to surround it with try catch block. So save this, and this will return a boolean is created equal to file1 dot create new file, and I will print this boolean. Okay. Is file created, and okay, cool. So let's run this. You see, is file created, true, will go back to that folder. Now you see test1 dot, which is a text document, has been created in that folder. Clear? Any doubts?
So one doubt, sir, can you create any type of file using this technique? .java files, .js files, anything?
Yeah, yes,
Okay.
you can. You see, I will create test2 dot java. Okay, and I run this. So again, you got true. Come here. So you see, a Java file has been created. You
Okay,
want
sir.
to create JS file? I will create it as test3 and will create JS. Save this, run this, go back. You have a JS. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Any other doubts?
No, sir.
Okay, cool. So suppose if there is no file called file, and or you think there is a file but there is no file1, I am trying to get the name of that. What happens now if I run the program? What do you think? Hello?
Exception.
No, it's not an exception. It will not give an exception, but it will give the name and do everything, but only if you go back here and see. Yeah, creating the file object means it is not necessary that it should be there. Okay, you can create the file object with any string that you give, but to do other operations like to create file, to write into that file, to read that file, then that file should exist, right? So now I do another method call. I check file dot exists. Okay, now it will return false. You see, this file object you have created, the name of that file is file1, but when you check for the existence of that file, it returned false. Okay, this is how we check. This is the bare minimum test that we need to do before doing any other operations on that particular file. First, we should check whether that file exists or not. If that exists, then we can create that. If that file does not exist, we can create that file. If that file exists, then we can read from that file, write to that file, or delete that file. Okay, so we will see some of such methods from file class. Is this much clear how to create the file object? We use file class imported from IO java.io package, and we have to create it using new keyword and passing the file path to that particular constructor. Okay, to get the name of that file, we have a method getName, and to check whether that file exists or not, we have exists method, and to create a file of that particular name, we have create new file method. Is these methods and creating file object is clear to all?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So one question, sir, here you mentioned that the path is D drive 00 Uttara batches and file1.
Yes.
But let's assume that 00 Uttara batches is not present as a folder. And if you give this path, will it also create that Uttara batches folder?
No.
Okay.
No, it will not create. Then it will create. This object is created, and if this particular file is there in that, if you remove this, you see, you remove this. Okay, then in D drive, in file folder, if it is there, test3.js will be created.
Okay, got it, sir.
Okay, let's run this. I save this and run this. You see, you get an exception that you cannot find the path that is specified. There is no file file
Folder.
file folder in D drive to create test3.js.
Clear, sir.
Okay, good. Any other questions? Let's continue. So this is how we create a file object. So, and we check for the existence of that object, whether that file exists or not, using file.exist method. And we can get the name of that particular file using getName method. Then we have to get the complete path of the file. We have getPath method, which will return a string like this. We can print yeah, full path of file. Okay, plus file1 dot get path. Okay, so we'll run this. You see, we get the complete path to that file. Be always aware of this slashes that we use. If which slash is this? Is this backward or forward? This is backward, right? They call something. This is backward slash. Whenever you use backward slash, it should be double. Instead, you can use single forward slash like this. Use double backward slash or single forward slash. Okay. Many people face this difficulty. be careful whenever you use slashes. Okay. You cannot use like this single backslash. See, invalid file path. You will get an exception like this. So just undo that. Better to use this so you can differentiate or with the slashes and everything clearly. Okay, double backslash. So then we come here, we got the path of the file. Then to check whether that file is a file or a folder. Okay, directory in Java, folder is called as directory. Whether to check that file object is pointing to a file or a folder, or which is also called as directory. Here it is, where if we do this, it is pointing to what? It is pointing to folder, right? So how to check that? How to know whether it is pointing to this file object is pointing to or reference is pointing to folder or not? We check whether it is a directory. So we'll write file dot is directory. Okay, then we'll check this file object, file1 reference is pointing to what? File or folder?
Files.
File. So we'll see the output for the file. It gives true. For the file1, it should give false. So you see, for the file, just is folder. Okay. Then is folder. And this. So this file is folder true. This file, which is test3.js, is folder false. It is a file. Clear? We use is directory method to check whether particular file object is pointing to file or folder. Clear? These are all very, very important methods, guys, to especially the project that we do in Uttara, the first core Java project uses all these things to what? Store the data, to check whether it is a file or folder. All these methods are very, very useful. Okay. So we come back here and we saw how to create a new file. We'll create it using create new file method. And to delete that file, I want to delete this JS file I created. I will call file1 dot delete. Okay. And I print something is file deleted. Save this and run. So is file deleted is true. We'll go back to that folder. You see test3.js got deleted. Clear? Any questions till now?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay. So we got to rename a file. Okay. For that, we have to create a file object with new name, and we have to call rename to method on previously created file object and pass that new file object to the method. Okay, we'll see that how to do that. And we have this and this. Okay, So we'll come back. I want to rename this file to new file. So I create a new file, file new file equal to new file of, and I copy this and paste it. And rename it to new file. Save this, and I just call file dot rename to new file. Okay, so now I will print the name before and I will print the name after. Copy this, paste it, save. Okay. Here I print save this and I'll run this. What happened? Name also file and new name is also file. Why is that? Save this. Let's run it again and see. Okay,
Sir, in line 21, you have the file.
yeah. So I will comment all these things. And I clear this thing. And I run it again. But it should have renamed it. Okay, it has renamed it. Okay,
Sir, each directory must be true, no, sir?
his directory is not true. Why, you tell? It is not finding that file. There is you will face this kind of problems when you deal with file system. Actually, what should have happened? We have new file. Okay, this new file is there. This particular file object is renamed to new file. I run it again. Let's see. But it should have changed the name, because we are calling file dot rename to new file. It renamed, it is reflecting in the file system. And now let's see, let's do this. File dot access. Okay, let's okay. So this file itself is overridden. Okay, this new file, it will get the older file will get the new path name, the older file. This file is not existing. Now this is pointing to the new file that has been created. Okay. That file itself doesn't exist when you rename. It is overridden from the new file path, but contents will remain. Clear?
So one question, in line 19, can you change file.exist to file.getPath?
Yeah.
Then execute it and see what happens.
Yeah, we will do that also, this also. Okay.
Sir, get path.
Sorry. Okay. Okay. You can get the name, you can get the path, even though there is no file present in the file system. This I saw, but to do other operations, you have to see whether that file exists or not. Then only you can proceed with writing or writing to that file or reading from that file or deleting that file. If I call delete on this method, okay, file dot delete off. Okay, what do you think? What will be the output?
IO exception.
Exception.
But it will not. Let's see. But what happens when you call for delete? It returns a Boolean value. If the file is deleted, if it returns true, else it will return false. So it will not give any exception for delete. See, this false. File is not deleted. Means to delete that file, the file itself does not exist. Okay. It will not throw IO exception. Yeah. So we come back here. Okay. So be careful whenever you are going to rename any file or directory, because it will change the complete path to that particular file, and the new file, that object will be that object will be referred by new file. If you tell new name new file dot get name, save this and this. So new name will be new file, and you see, I'll just copy, paste. Oh, will not delete this. Delete everything will be deleted. Okay, we'll just run this. So it is also no file. So is folder true? The path is this, and exists. Yes, it exists, and this does. This is the new name. This is the previous name. So be careful whenever you want to rename. Use this rename to method. Okay. Then suppose I want to get the list of all the files that is in the in a folder. We have a method called list files, which will return the array of file objects. Okay. So we'll go back here and I will comment this out, and I'll comment all this. save. Master and rename this to file. And comment this. Okay, so we'll run this. So now here in this file, I want to get all the files in this. I know that this is a folder, or if I do not know, I will get it by using this if file dot is directory. If this is true, then get me all the files that is there in this particular directory. I get all the list using what? File dot list files. Okay, this returns the array. So it returns the array of type file. File array files equal to file. And I want to print the names of all the files that is there in that particular directory. Okay, I will just comment this also so that we will have 3 files. How can we do that? I want to print all the names of files that is present in this directory. How can I do that?
For each.
For each.
Exactly. Tell me the code. Let's see whether you remember or not.
For
For
of
declare
Variable.
file.
what variable?
file variable.
Yeah, file f in
Colon.
Reference.
files. Correct. Right. Yes. And print what?
SOP. Yeah.
SOP. SOP f dot get name. Okay. To print the, I want to print along with numbers. I want to print the index number. How can I do that? How can I do that?
Can't do it.
I want to print 1 space first file name, 2 space second file name, 3 space third file name. How can I do that? Int variable, correct. So how to do that? I will have an int I equal to 0, and here I will plus I plus this. So I will run this. See, and I will also put plus save this. And see, first one test1.txt, 2 test2.java, 3 test3.js. Is it clear how to get the list of files in a folder? Check first, check whether it is a folder. If it is a folder, write or call the list files method, and that list files method will return the array of files and do whatever operation that you want to do on that array of files that you got. Any doubts? Any doubts till now? Hello?
No, sir.
Okay, cool. So next we have, shall we continue? We'll finish this file writer and reader, then we'll wind up. Okay, it may take another 30 minutes to 40 minutes and may not even that much. Till now, we have seen that how to create files and check whether that file exists or not, and get the path, get the name, and list all the files in that particular folder, and delete the file and everything with respect to file. So getting the file, deleting the file, and get the name of the file and check whether it is a file or directory, everything we saw. And you have to by heart all these. There are only 8 important methods that you have to by heart all these things in order to work with files, and always be careful about these slashes and path that you give to the file, because you will encounter multiple errors and exceptions during when you work with files. Okay, so now we have to write something to the file and read something from the file. For that, Java provides 2 classes, one for writing to the file and another for reading from the file. Okay, so for that, in the same way, we have to create FileWriter object using new keyword and pass the path to the file. Okay, come back here. I will create, I'll just comment all these things. Okay. Yes. I do not want even this. Okay, I will create file writer, and even this class also should be imported from java.io package. File writer fw equal to new file writer of file. You see it, I told you to write into the file, that file should exist. If it doesn't exist, then it will throw error or it will throw exception, and it is an IO exception, which is checked exception. That is why we have to surround it with try catch block. Okay, so we save this and we use write method to write to that particular file. Okay, fw dot write, and let's write this. What will be the output when we run this? What do you
If
think?
the file is pointed to a folder or file, sir.
Yeah, correct. Very good observation. To test you itself, I just did this. It is pointing to folder. How to check whether it is pointing to file or folder?
Is directory.
Is directory.
Is directory, right? Now we will do this. There was is directory. I'll just copy this and paste it. Okay, save. It is fine. So now we'll clear this and run this. So it is folder true. For this file, the access to write, you cannot write to folder. You can write to only a file. So that access is denied. That is why that particular line threw exception. So I do not want to write to this folder, but I want to write to this file. Okay. So I will write test1. Is it test1 or just test1 dot save this and I'll just run this. So is folder false? Did it write to the file? Let's see. So I'll just open this, open in Notepad, or let's open in VS Code. Did not write. What happened? Is it the right? Yeah. Now return to the file. Why is it not writing to the file?
So do you need to close the file, sir?
Right, close.
Yeah. If I in finally will close if w dot close. Okay. Then we have to do this. I'll tell why should we do this, and we come back here and writing to the file. Wrote to the file. Save this and run this. Okay. Yeah, cool. Yeah. So now we know how to write to the file. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Why I did all these things? Because we have to, as I told, we have to close the resource that we have acquired to write into the file. That is why we have to close it in finally block, which is for sure to get executed whether we have some defect in try block or catch block. It is sure that this finally block will get executed, so that we have to close that resource or close that file writer inside finally block. Okay, to close it in finally block, we should have declared that file writer outside try catch block. if we declare it inside try block or catch block, we can use it in that particular block itself. It becomes block scoped local variable. We cannot use that to close inside finally block. Okay, so if but you can declare it outside, but you cannot initialize it outside the try block, because this constructor, this creating of FileWriter object constructor is throwing an IO exception. Okay, that is why we initialize it to null outside and initialize to a FileWriter object inside try block, and we write to the file using write method, and then we will catch any exception that may occur during writing to the file using catch block, which is an IO exception, and finally we close it. Okay, we cannot call this close method if it is null. If it failed to create this object, still the FW will be initialized to null. We cannot call any method on null object, so we should check whether that FW is null or not. If it is null, then we cannot close, else we can close it. Clear? Any questions? Guys, are you clear with this? It's very important. First, you should have a file object. Then you cannot write into the folder. You can write only to a file. Then you create a FileWriter object and initialize it to null. Then you create the reference here and initialize to null, and inside try block you create a FileWriter object and pass the file to which you have to write. Okay, then you write to the file using write method, and you catch any exception that may occur in try block using catch block, and in finally block you check whether that FileWriter is still null or not. If it is not null, then you close that FileWriter. Any questions? Everybody clear? Hello, everybody.
Sir, after writing, every time we need to close the file.
Not every time. At last, you have to close the FileWriter. Okay. Good. So I will write something else. I'll write hello everybody. Okay. I'll save this. And I run this. Okay. Go back here. You see, it overwrote that the file content and it became hello everybody. Oh. Clear?
Yes.
If you want to write in a new line,
Yeah, that just what this. There is one more thing that we have to do. If we don't use these functionalities, we will forget. Now again, I write world, and we'll do this and go back. You see, it did not overwrite, but it appended. If you do not want to overwrite that file, but you want to keep appending to that file, then you have to create a file writer with two arguments, one with the file object and another is a Boolean value whether you have to append or not. If you want, by default you cannot append, but if you want to append to the existing content of the file, then you have to use the second parameter like this, which is a Boolean value true. Okay, but this is not coming in a new line. For that you have to write either this. Okay, I'll just run this again. Hello world 2. No, not this. What is the escape sequence for new line? In this, let's see. Oh, sorry, they should come here. Is this the escape sequence? Let's run it and check it. Yeah, I think not this. This. Save, run it again. Yeah, this is the escape sequence. To get it into the new line, either you do this, or we are Java people, we do not want to use those escape sequence. We can just write we cannot use println here. Sorry, we have to use new line character itself. Clear? Any questions in writing to the file? Be careful with the path that you use. Be careful whether you are writing to a file or folder, and be careful to close the file writer after you use everything. Is this clear, everybody?
Sir,
Yeah.
instead of adding truth to the new file writer, that object,
Yeah.
can we able to write fw.write hello world, fw.write hello world 1 like that?
We can write, but it will erase when you write it again. Okay, I'll show you that. I will remove this true. I save this hello world 1, and after this I want a new line. Save this and I print hello world 2. Okay, we save this and we run this. You see, previously written, all the data is overwritten by the newly entered data if you do not give true as the second parameter. If I say now you want to add hello world 3 and 4, how do you do that? How can you do that? If you change it here, I change it here 3 and 4, and I save this and I run this. Okay, and we go back to the file. 1 and 2 got changed to 3 and 4. This is not the requirement I wanted. I wanted to add after 2 I wanted to add hello world 3 and hello world 4, but it got overwritten. I do not want that. I want to add the hello world 5 and 6 after this 4 and 3 and 4. So for that, I have to do this. I have to give true here, and I will change this to 5 and 6. Save this and now you see hello world 3, 4, 5, 6. Clear?
What is the true doing, sir?
That true is telling whether you need to append to the content of the file that is already there, or you do not want to append and overwrite the existing content in the file. If you specify true, it will append the new contents to the older contents. Okay, it will add the content. But if you do not specify true, it will delete all the contents that is there in that file and add new content. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. Good question. If you do not understand like this, please ask. Anything else that you haven't yet understood? Okay, we'll see FileWriter. We have seen FileWriter. We'll see FileReader. As the same
So
way.
one question. Sorry
Yeah.
for interruption. Can you only write strings into files? You mean write any
You
other
can-
data
you
type
can
into
write
files?
characters. You see when I called fw dot write. Okay, you can write character array. Okay, you can write one integer. You can write string. You can write character array, and you can specify the offset and length and everything. And you can write string and you specify the offset and length. Like this, you can write multiple things to the file.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Sir, can you write that false comma at false?
False also specifies not to append. False. Okay, save this and see the contents now in the file. It is 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I have given false and I run this. You see, and go back to the file, and all the contents of the file is replaced by this 5 and 6. Clear? Because we are writing 5 and 6 here. Either you give false or you don't give anything, it will overwrite the content. If you do not want to overwrite, but to add the contents after the older contents in the file, then you have to give true. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now again, I will run this. Now again, you see 5, 6, 5, 6 added. Okay. So we read the file. We'll see how to read the file using FileReader. We have FileReader class, and for that, in the same way, FileWriter also, we can either give the file object or we can give the path to that file. Okay, either ways we can create the FileReader object. And how to read? To read, we use read method, and this read method will read one character at a time, and character is represented by some number, and if it reads -1, that means it has reached the end of that file. Okay, so we will create FileReader object here. FileReader FileReader fr equal to null. In the same way, we will create we have to import FileReader to use it from the IO package. java.io.file, java.io.FileReader, java.io.FileWriter. Okay, and also we have to import this IO exception to catch in this catch block. So FileReader, and we will fr equal to new file reader of file. Now this also throws the exception. We will surround it with try catch. Okay, we save this. And how to read? Character char c equal to fr dot read. What happened? Yeah. So it returns an int. To store it in character, we have to typecast it to char. Save this, and we have to read all the content of the file. For that, we will use while loop, and while fr, how's that? While character while c not equal to -1, we will print that c. So print C, and c equal to char of fr dot. So we'll save this, and we will run this. What's happening? Entered infinite loop. It should read all these things, right? Okay. This is the problem with file systems. Come back here, and I will copy this. And paste this, save.
Sir, in line number 49, it should be while fr not equal to -1.
Now, file,
Sorry, fr
Int
dot read
variable.
not equal to -1.
yeah, we'll do this one thing. We'll do this. We'll do this. Okay, we will run this. So hi, hello world. Okay, it got appended, right? So hi, hello world 5, hello world 6. So we can see this here. Hi, hello world 5, exclamatory mark, space, and then hello world 6 and dots. Clear? How to read it? So we have created the file reader object, and we have created it using the path, and we are reading it using read method, and we are using while loop until and unless this read method returns -1, we are reading that particular character and printing that character. This read method returns an int value. To print it as a character, you have to downcast it to character. Clear? Any questions in
Sir, can you
FileWriter,
please explain why we
FileReader?
are referencing that FR tunnel?
Yeah, because we should close that in finally block. In finally, you will check whether if FR not equal to null, then FR dot close not equal to, and even this will throw an IO exception. If you do not do this outside try block, you cannot use that here in the finally block to close. That is why we are just declaring this FR outside the reference, and inside try block you cannot initialize it to file reader outside try block, because this file reader constructor throws an IO exception or file not found exception, which is the child of IO exception. That is why you cannot initialize outside try. But if you do not declare FR object or FR reference outside try, you cannot use it in finally. So we have to declare it outside try and use it both in try and finally block. Clear?
Yes, I got it.
Yeah. Any other doubts? Any other questions? Anybody?
After printing that each character, C is equal to FR dot read.
Yeah. What's happening? I am reading the first character. When I call read, it will read only one character at a time. It reads the first character, so that respective integer is stored in C. So now if C is not 1, if it is not the end of the file. Okay, so then it will print that character. Then again I will call read. Okay, then the next character is read and that particular integer value is returned. Until and unless it reaches the end of the file, it will keep reading and printing the character. If it reaches the end of the file, the character value, or it will return the integer value as -1, and if it is -1, you stop it. Clear?
The incrementing number is written in the thread method, sir.
What incrementing number?
Read the next character.
Just a minute. To read the next character, we are not incrementing anything. It will read the next character on its own.
Okay.
Okay, good.
So one doubt, do we have any method like read line
Yeah, we'll talk about that, how to read multiple characters at a time. Okay. We cannot read it using FileReader. It is only possible to read single character using FileReader. We have something else called buffered writer and buffered reader, which helps us to read one line at a time. Okay, good. We'll see that tomorrow. Any doubts in creating the file object, accessing the files, and creating FileWriter, writing to the file, creating FileReader, and reading to the file? Any doubts in these 5 topics?
No, sir.
Sir.
It's clear.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry, the file name got overridden to new file.
Yes.
How is it possible to fetch the whole name only? In starting, we get the old name, right? File
yeah.
dot get name.
Yes.
How is it possible? Even though the file name got overridden to new file.
But that file object was there, right? We had one file object and another new file object. That you can call get name on any file object even though it doesn't exist. Okay, you can call certain methods like get name, get path, delete, and these methods can be called even though that file does not exist. If it exists, it will get the path. If the object exists, it will get the path. If you call delete, if the file exists, it will delete and returns true. If the file does not exist, it will return false. Okay, just the
Yes.
file object is sufficient to call these methods like get name, get path, delete, exists, is directory. Like this, you can call these methods just on the file object, and it will return that respective values depending on the particular file. If it exists, it will return false. It will return true. If it does not exist, it will return false.
Yes, I got it.
Okay. Anything else?
So one question. So if you have to read and write into some file in some remote computer, do we still use file reader and writer?
We have something called as RMI, Java RMI, which uses remote communicating things. I think in one of the, I also do not know it perfectly, but not the file reader. We use something else to do that.
Okay. So
Okay. Good. Anything else? Any other questions you have?
Sir, we can code in VS also, no, sir, this Java programs.
Yeah, you can code these simple programs in VS Code, but it is I have not come across to manage packages, folders, and those things for Java in VS Code.
Okay.
It's difficult to create packages, manage those packages as we do in Eclipse. That is the only reason that we have to use Eclipse. Otherwise, even I do not want to use Eclipse.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Sir, we can use STS.
You can use
STS.
what?
STS.
What is that?
Spring Tools.
For Spring Boot, you have that SDS.
No, we
Spring
cannot use.
development software, something like that. You can use that for Spring. For when you start learning Spring, you can use it, or you can use Eclipse. Eclipse
Okay,
and that
thank you, sir.
SDS are almost similar. There is no much difference. There is
Okay, sir.
another IDE, IntelliJ is there. People say
Yes,
it's
sir,
a
yes,
good
sir.
IDE, but I have not used it. I do not know how is it. Okay, guys, any other questions you have regarding this today's class and yesterday's class? Scanner, file, FileWriter, FileReader. In tomorrow's session, we will complete this file IO topic by covering buffered writer and buffered reader. Okay.
Could you send this record session, sir? We'll go
Ah.
through.
Okay, we'll give this.
And share the file also.
Okay, we'll do that. I will upload this to that YouTube channel. You can see that. I will share the link also. Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you for the patience. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.